Let's connect our Google Analytics for data to Google BigQuery. But first, a disclaimer. There are two ways to do it. One with the GA4 API and one directly through Google BigQuery. Here are the advantages and disadvantages. If we do it with the GA4 API, which is the way we will do in this tutorial, it will be much more simple. It is no code. You don't need any SQL, any setup, anything technical. So you will like this one if you are getting started with Google BigQuery and syncing your GA4 data. However, the data coming from the API has some limitations. For instance, data sampling. I don't have access to 100% of the data. That's why there are some discrepancies when it comes to calculate some conversions, some events, and not having access to individual events or event level or user level data. If we do it through a Google BigQuery integration, the direct integration with GA4, we can get access to event level data. It is the raw data from GA4. It has some advantages and way better. For instance, with the event level data, your team can model your own attribution. So if you want to map IDs, user, UTM parameters, this is the way to go. Also, if you want real-time data syncing to your BigQuery, this is the way to do it. And also, if you want to combine this website analytics data with product analytics with financial data, Google BigQuery tables and raw data is the best way to do it. So in terms of performance, reliability, quality of the data, and granularity, GA4 to Google BigQuery is better. However, you must understand SQL, you must understand APIs, maybe you need some knowledge on Python and a lot of knowledge on SQL to blend this raw data and this table from GA4. In this tutorial, as I said, I will show you how to do it with the GA4 API, which is also functional. It will give you the traffic, the conversion, the pages, and other data, a little bit more limited, but yet functional for your needs to sending your data from GA4 to Google BigQuery. With clarity, let's get this started. Disclaimer, I will show you how to connect your GA4 data to Google BigQuery. You will go to powermetrics.com and you will log in with your Google account. Once login on Power Metrics, you will go to Create and you will select Google BigQuery as your destination. Here you can select as data source GA4 and I will name my connection GA4 here. If I want to organize my data because I will have multiple connections or data sources or clients or brands, this is how you can manage and organize your data. So here I will select next, and for the record, if you ever want to combine your advertising, GA4, CRM, or e-commerce data, you could select in this step all these data sources and we will combine automatically your data. I will continue with GA4 because this tutorial is with GA4 to Google BigQuery. So I will go to next and it is time to connect my GA4 property. So I will go to connect accounts and I will select my website. To bring my website here, I simply need to log in with my Google account to retrieve all the GA4 properties that I have access with my email. I will select my website, and for the record, if you would like to connect multiple websites in the same connections, you can do it as well. Here I will go to save and then I will go to next. Inside my connection, I could create multiple queries. For instance, one query for pages, one query for conversions, one query for audiences. So this is a way that you can use to manage your data. I will create my first query. So for my first query, I have GA4 as data source, so I don't need to change the settings. In the Google BigQuery parameters, this is how it works. I will log in again with Google so I can retrieve my projects from Google BigQuery. If you are not familiar with the meaning of projects, let me give you a refresher of Google BigQuery. Google BigQuery belongs to Google Cloud. In Google Cloud, you can have organizations. Inside your organization, you could have projects. And inside projects, you could have data sets in the case of Google BigQuery. So in data sets, I could have tables, and inside tables, I could build queries. That's how you can think of the structure of Google BigQuery and Google Cloud. So in my case, I am connecting my project. I have created a project that is called marketing data, and I will select a server location. Generally, I use multi-region to make it agnostic, but if you have any particular compliance requirement, I recommend you to pay attention to what location you want to store your data. Now, I will select a data set. I had created a data set in the past that is called marketing data, and now I will create a table that is called GA4. So I will call it here GA4. What I will do, I will create this table in Google BigQuery. So I will go to Google BigQuery. I will go to my project. It is marketing data. I will go to data sets. In data sets, I will go to marketing data and I will create a new table. And here, where I can name the table, you can see that I have my data set. In the table naming, I will put GA4, so it is GA4 here, and also on parametrics, I will create this table, and I have created this table. I will go back to my query builder so we can send data to this table on Google BigQuery. Here, I will go to metrics. Remember, metrics are numbers, currencies, percentages, time, all these kind of numbers. So I will bring metrics like sessions. Also, I can bring event count, conversions, key events, all the metrics that you want from GA4, you can bring them here with this integration. And I can bring dimensions. I can break down or segment my data by date, by page URL, by device, by country. So remember, dimensions are the ways that you can use to segment your data. So here I will use full page URL. And in full page URL, now we have our query. I am breaking down my traffic by page URL, and in the right side, you could see a preview of your data. Now, I could calculate my own metrics. I can create custom metrics. I will show you how to do that. So on metrics, I will go to create metric, and I will calculate my own conversion rate. And in natural language, I can create a prompt to calculate this formula. And I will say, hey, please bring my key events and divide them by my sessions and multiply by 100. And this is how I can get a percentage. And below, you will see the formula that the AI is interpreting to calculate this custom metric. And as you can see, it is doing it correctly. Now I will go to create. So actually, this is not a number, this is a percentage. So I want to pay attention to that. I will go to create, and I am done with metrics and custom metrics. It is time to do the same with dimensions. For instance, I could do it. So I will go first to date range, and in date range, I could change to, for instance, this month to date. When it comes to date ranges, think of this. There are custom date ranges and dynamic date ranges. Custom date ranges is you setting up a start date and an end date, and it is fixed. And dynamic date ranges are, for instance, this year to date, this month to date, last week, this week, and so on. Regardless what is the current date, it will change accordingly, which is my recommendation to use a dynamic date range. I will use this month to date. Now I will go to filter, and in filter, I will select like, hey, I want to exclude pages that contain app as subdomain. This is my case. I have some URLs that have app as subdomain, and this is not clean data for me because I only want to look at my website data, not my subdomain or application data. Now I am done with filters. It is time to do some sorting. So I would like to organize or arrange my pages by the highest traffic. So I will choose sessions, and I will make it descending. And finally, I will go to schedule, and on a schedule, I want to prompt, for instance, I want to update this every day at 8 a.m. So I will simply put every day at 5 p.m., for instance. I will enter, and here the AI interpreted correctly my scheduling frequency. You could select, for instance, every hour, every day, every weekday at 5 p.m., and so on. This detects automatically your intent and also your time zone based on your browser. And finally, on the settings, I want to change the way I export my data. So I have three ways to export my data to Google BigQuery. One is append, update, and overwrite. Generally, I use overwrite because it is the more simple one. Overwrite is simply, I will ignore your last table, I will remove it, and I will paste my new table every day or depending on the schedule that you have. If you want to make sure that your historical data is saved, maybe you want to append new rows every time the data is refreshed. There is some risk that there will be duplicated data if you don't manage it correctly. But I will say that overwrite is the most simple one because when it comes to GA4, you don't have that much risk of losing historical data because you can retrieve it always from the API. Now, remember that GA4 has some limitations in terms of historical data. By default, they will only store 6 months of historical data. So having this as a backup is useful. In this case, I would recommend you to create queries with the append method so you can make sure that you are saving your data quite often for future analysis. For instance, year over year analysis, this will be useful for you. And a second caveat, when people say like, hey, GA4 won't store your data for more than 6 months, there is a caveat here. When it comes from the GA4 API, there is no limit for historical data, at least as I can tell in the documentation. When it comes to the raw data that is sent to Google BigQuery, that is the limitation of the 6-month window that you need to set up. So If you are not using the Google BigQuery integration, you can still use the GA4 API and you won't have any risk of losing historical data. This is quite important, so you don't need to be that stressed or worried about losing historical data with this method. Now, I will go to save this query and I will send this data to Google BigQuery. This indicates after some time, after some seconds, that this data was sent successfully to Google BigQuery. So let's go to Google BigQuery. I will go to the table. So as you can see, I was in my table called GA4, and the first view when I go to a table is the schema. The schema or schema, sorry for the pronunciation, shows me what fields are in this table. I can see the conversion rate, I can see the sessions, the full page URL, the event count. Now, if I go to the preview, I will see my actual data from GA4. Data here in GA4 is useful, but what about if we visualize it on Google Looker Studio? Let's go back to a builder. And in the builder, when you create and publish your data, you will see an option that says View in Looker Studio. So we can connect our data from GA4 stored in your Google BigQuery directly in Google Looker Studio. I will go to View in Looker Studio. I will click here on Acknowledge, and I will wait for Looker Studio to load this report. And we have connected a report with a connection directly from Google BigQuery. I will go to Save and Share to publish this report, and I am done. As you see here, I can bring a table with the same fields I have on Google BigQuery. There is a tiny limitation that we can fix. The names of the fields are quite technical because they have an underscore. So I will show you how to fix that. First, I will remove some fields and I will add the ones I want. I want sessions, I want key events, and I want to break down my data by URL. So I will do these changes first. But now I will change the name of the fields so they are more friendly. Here, I will go to edit the first field, which is pages, and the display name will be page. And second, the metric, I will call it sessions. And now my table has more friendly names. And this is how you can send your GA4 data to Google BigQuery and how you can connect this Google BigQuery data on Google Looker Studio. Now it is your time to create your reports, and I will see you in other tutorials.